Hey, Ralph, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, if you want to get somebody to play with you, or if you're good by yourself, let me know how late.
Find out what the difference was here.
Not yet.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for jumping on. We'll get started here in just a moment. Let people join. I just invited you to a training project. I know today is going to be more of a Q&A, but I did want to give us the opportunity to test some things out if those kind of questions come up and people want to follow along. So I just sent that to your the email that I invited you with. This is great. It looks like we have a pretty good turnout.
That's good to hear. How many, can you tell how many people are on so far?
Yeah, it looks like 20 people.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Cool. And I have a bit of an agenda that I can run through, but we also can
Let's tell the joke.
So what we got in the large.
Hey, Jeff, I'm going to mute you because we can hear. Okay, well, I'm just going to kick us off with a brief introduction while we wait for some of the other folks to join us. This session is recorded, so if you have to step out or you miss something, I will be sending out the recording after this, so you'll be able to access that later. And you can share it with people who couldn't make it today. But just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Kendra. I'm your dedicated construction solutions manager. And I came from the construction industry. I started in landscaping about 10 years ago, and most recently was working for a GC in San Francisco doing commercial TI. So I've been on the other side, but I also have a really in-depth knowledge of Fieldwire and how to use it. So I help teams to optimize their workflows in Fieldwire and also support teams with training and things like that. So I'm available as necessary if you have questions. Don't hesitate to ask outside of these sessions as well. But today is really for your teams to get any questions you have about the platform. And also, Aaron did mention a couple things we could cover, and I am prepared to show you kind of a typical overview of the software for mobile, if we have time for that.
Jenco yellow vest.
So what that usually looks like is I cover an intro to Fieldwire, plan viewing. We talk about photos, issue tracking, work planning. But I think first I want to give everyone a chance to get any questions they have asked if they want to. Or Chris,
Oh
if you
my
have any
God.
input. Sorry, Jerry, I'm gonna mute you. Chris or Aaron, if you have any input, do you think we should start with the sort of typical training agenda and then leave time for Q&A? How would you like to?
Well, part of this is it kind of evolved from, we have our monthly performance meetings and so it's like there seemed to be some interest in like some open forum Q&A, like, hey, how do I do this, or some best practice sharing. So I think maybe we open up to the team first, and then, if there's anything we want to show people specifically. We do have also some new project managers on, so I think your agenda that you have is still applicable. But I think some of the basics are also available online in the video tutorials. So I think maybe we save that for the later part, and let's at least get people to ask their questions and kind of get that out of the way first.
Sounds good. Yeah, so I have both my mobile device as well as the web platform up and running here, where I can demo any kind of workflows. So please don't be shy. If you'd rather type your question into the chat, you can just type them as they come up as you think of them, or please unmute yourself and have at it.
Tim Beam and Flo here. Okay. All right. So who has specific questions that we want to ask of the team? Anybody?
Hello, Kendra. This is Gerardo Martinez or Jerry Martinez. I noticed that when my name wasn't on that email list that you put up there for a second, and I have not received the email you said that you put out a few minutes ago.
Okay, yeah, thank you for letting me know. I can invite you here, and it was Jerry J. Martinez.
Yes, that's it, Jay Martinez.
What's the domain name?
inc.com.
Okay. Jencoinc.com.
Jesus.
All right. You are now invited to this training project, which is a project we'll use. We can use with your teams going forward for training. You can try things out in here, test it, and sort of see how a job can be set up.
So that's the big question of the day. Just
I'm trying to open it now, so I'll probably have some more right after we get into this, right?
Okay.
Kendra, this is Tim Bean. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Well, better than I was. But anyway, if I'm on Fieldwire and I'm marking things up, and there's really no save button there, so it just stays there until I hit the delete button?
That's correct.
Or does it ever drop off? Like if I do like an overlay or anything like that, will it disappear?
It's a great question. All markups get brought up to the most current plan. And so when I go to like what we're looking at here, I can see these markups. And these were done on this current plan. But if I go to an older plan, like the one from February, I can see that some of these markups were actually done with this older plan. And those have carried up to the new plan. And so, for instance, this line was on the older plan, this was on the older plan. So you still have a record of what you marked up in the past, but those will be brought up to the current set. And if they're no longer relevant, you can then delete them. So the idea is if you make a markup, it stays on the plan you did it on the first time, and it's copied onto any new drawings you add until you delete them.
That's perfect. So what I did notice is I've done some markups, like I was trying to use it for the as-builts, which I think is perfect for that. If I go like do more than one markup and then I hit delete, it deletes everything that I had. So let's say I had red and I was using red and green. It'll delete all my red. Is it supposed to do that, or is it supposed to be like one by one?
It should
'Cause
be
I'm
one
gonna
by
have to-
one.
So I deleted everything. I had to go back and remark all my reds back in there.
If you did like a line like this, the connected polyline, and if you did like a number of lines like that, that is one markup. So if I delete that, it's going to see that as one markup and delete the whole thing at one time.
Gotcha. That makes sense now. Yep, that's what happened.
If I do one line at a time, if I just do like a line, then I do another line, then I go, okay, this, you know, kind of the same idea as a polyline, but just
But
use,
you're unclicking every time you do it.
yeah, well, what
Gotcha.
I'm not, it's not that I'm unclicking, it's that I'm using a different tool on the line toolbar. So
Oh,
so you've
okay.
got polyline and then just single line. And so,
Perfect.
so now if I go and I delete this, I can just take one away at a time. Maybe this was wrong. So then I can,
That's what I was looking to do.
okay,
Perfect. Thank you.
for sure. And just while we're at it, I did want to mention, in case people didn't know, when I'm on web, I can right click and go into the details of that markup. And I can actually change things like the line thickness, the color, and I can see who has modified and created the markup. So that I was able to do that. And on mobile, all you have to do to see those details is hold your finger down for a long time, like for a little while, a couple seconds, and the menu will pop up to see the details.
Yep, and I would just want to encourage you all to use this tool to mark up your drawings for your as-built every day regularly, and use the red ink button. And anything else you want to highlight, like she's got green here of caulking inspected, the orange is or not inspected, you know, ready to go. But so what we do is you can just toggle those filters on and off, and there you go, perfect. So there, you know, you can choose which color to show and which color not to show. So at the end of the job, if you're marking up your as-built as you go along with your other comments, you just filter, toggle everything off but red, and we can export a PDF, and now we have a digital set of as-built that we can send to the GC. Makes life really easy for all of us. Make sense? Anybody, any questions or thoughts on that? Other than Doug's big sigh?
I wish that I had done that too. I use Fieldwire to do my as-built at Capstone, but I wish I'd have done it every day, because every time I walk around, I'm like, oh, we changed that or we moved that. But
Right.
if you do it every day, it's not bad. And you
Exactly.
can get it if you change it back. I like that.
So true. Another thing too is if you're not quite sure, like you're still figuring it out, we do have this private color, and that's just purple. What that means is by default, all markups are visible to everyone. And so I don't really know when you might use the purple, but if you're still just sort of, it's in draft mode and you don't necessarily want everyone to see it, you can make something a purple color, or if it's just a note for yourself, it can be in purple, and no one else will be able to see that but you. So I'd use that cautiously, but just know that it exists.
I had a question.
Okay.
Is there a way to create a link on the print?
Yes.
As an example,
Yeah.
the main thing I'd like to do is like on my fixture schedules, when I click on an L4 fixture schedule or an
Yeah.
L4 fixture, it takes me to that submittal.
That's great. Yeah. And I'm glad you asked that, because that was one of the topics that Aaron brought up. And it's a great one to cover. So on your toolbar of markups, we just kind of talked through the lines tool. And what Tim has just brought up really is in this bucket of the chain link. And that has a bunch of different ways of linking different aspects of the software, different assets that you have stored in maybe the files or the forms or the photos onto the drawings, so that you have a quick reference to, a fixture schedule or, an approved submittal. And those typically, I imagine, are in your files tab. Are people uploading those to the files tab?
Yeah,
Yes, that's where they live.
typically.
Perfect. And so you would just use the paperclip symbol. I've pulled out a paperclip and I place it on the drawing where I want access to it. So at this point, I can then link to any kind of submittal. I think there was it could be an RFI to do with an item. Maybe they changed a fixture length or bottom of height of the fixture and they want to, they documented it in an RFI. So you can link that right there on the drawings. And what that does is anyone who is working in this area will see that and be able to click here on mobile or on web and access that document. So it could be an RFI. I know, we have a document on this project for concrete specs. And I want to show you something that can be really handy. So if I add that document to this location, again, I can click in and see it. But sometimes these, schedules or submittal packages are pretty long and it's hard to find what you're looking for. In this case, this is 18 pages. And so if you utilize this panel here on the left, upper left, this actually lets you see if in Bluebeam you created an outline for your document, that will show here with all the bookmarks. But if you don't have an outline, and let's say you navigate to the F9 fixtures, in this case, we'll just pretend the materials is the F9. If you just put a comment there, F9, then that shows up in my comments tab and it'll go in order of the document. And so I can then go down and, if I find another fixture while I'm on site, and I don't want to keep having to reference this, I can add that comment here. These are the F12s. And so every time I open this document and I start out at the top, I can just come to this side panel, go to my comments and see, here are the F9 fixtures. Here are the F12 fixtures. So it allows for just quicker navigation of the document, and then you can save those comments, save those edits, and it's accessible on the drawing. So that's linking files. And on this same tab, you have links to other drawings. If you have a shop drawing of a light fixture that you happen to, do you ever put those in plans or are those mostly in files?
We sometimes have like a lighting set of prints that we'll add to our plans.
So yeah, then I could see, in this, if there's no detail call out that's already being hyperlinked, similar to this one here, then you can create your own with that same detail call out symbol. It says add hyperlink, add plan hyperlink. I can put that there and select the plan that I want to link to. So now I can jump to that plan and see what I'm looking for and go right back where I was. So that's the first tool here. That's the plan hyperlinks. And then we talked about the paper clip. So then, has anyone had a chance to use the photo pin?
No, not yet.
Okay, so photos are really helpful. I think just, I can't stress enough, like customers we hear just being able to justify costs, being able to prove work, being able to, show what the existing condition was. We didn't break that. That was already like that. So I definitely encourage everyone to add photos to your tasks, etc. And also utilizing this photo pin allows you to pin photos to an area. So if you want to document existing conditions on the site and have a record of that, or if someone needs to reference it when you're back at the office, you could add photos of the panel with all the different circuits, and you could pin that to the drawing so that I know that right here, I can see the photos of the panel, I can see the different circuits, and when I'm, doing planning, I can reference that. So you can just add photos just like it's shown here. You can also add video if you need to, up to 7 seconds. And then I don't know if you've been utilizing a 360 camera, which you can also add 360 photos, which I'm sure you can all relate how useful this can be to see, did they install the backing for the light fixture, or, did we put a box in there? Is the pack box in the right location? So many things.
I'm sure a few people on this call just had flashbacks to Optima, right? Those pictures.
Do you use a 360 camera, Chris?
We have not. You and I and Aaron looked at things last time, and it's something that we're still considering, but
cool.
Haven't done it yet.
But either way, like you can pin photos to the drawing just using that little icon.
And is it tied to that red line that's pointing down there, or are those two separate?
I think I just did that red line today by accident. When I was drawing the sample. So yeah, it's not tied to it. And on mobile, I can just show you, if I'm walking along on a site walk, I can grab my camera tool and take, let's say I want to document the electrical room. Then I can just grab my pin. It'll have me take a photo. And now I have that photo on the drawing. So there's no question of like, where was this? Where is this? Which panel is this? Instantly.
So can you pull photos from your gallery on your cell phone? On your mobile?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, let's show that for a moment. And just so you know, you can tell this photo has a square dimension. For taking photos close up, like a panel or something where you don't need a wide shot, it works fine. If you want to get a photo that has more width, like if I take that same photo with my camera, it has a little more captured on it. And we're actually working on improving this, but just so you know for now how it works. If I want to add that photo that I took on my camera roll, I can click on the camera icon, and then I come down to this bottom left, or it's funny, it's like turned to the side, but I come to this little icon with the stacked paper of all my pictures, and it pulls up my camera roll. So, and I think, and Fieldwire adds the photo that you just took on Fieldwire to your camera roll as well. So you always have a record of it on your own camera too. And I just held my finger down on the photo to present the delete option. So, because I don't want that one twice. But as you can see, that's pretty much the same photo, but you get a little more in the photo when I take it with my iPhone camera, but it has to add some white space just to make it match the tile size. So it's pretty much the same photo, but you can see on the right here, there's some more shown, captured in the frame. But that's how you add a photo from your camera roll, is you just use the little stacked pictures. There's just a little delay. So that's photos on the hyperlink toolbar. And we did the paperclip. So the last one is forms. And I think, do you use your forms? I think that we were talking about using forms more, but if you do want to ever, create a form, maybe you want to create the panel information. If you have a form that just gives you, I'm not an electrician, so I don't know, but if there's data that you want to collect when you're there that you don't want to have to go back and look at the each circuit again every time, you could, let's say I've got my photo of the panel, I can attach a form here and add that information on here. So you can have fillable fields and drop-down menus. And then, a signature, and be able to add photos there. So that's the hyperlinks part. So thanks for asking that question, Tim. Anything else that you wanted to know?
On the task portion of it, is there a way to link more than one print? So on the task bar, when you create a task on the right-hand side, there's that plan option.
Man after my own heart. I love that. That is a feature request that I really love, because I totally wish that we could do that. And I've logged that, but I'll log it in your name. And I love that, because tasks affect multiple areas often. And sometimes navigating through the drawings is like a cryptic hieroglyphic puzzle. And so
right now the answer is no, it's not a current feature, but it is on the wish list, if you will.
it is, yeah. You can't at the moment. What would you use that for?
Maybe pointing out differences from like the lighting plan to the reflective ceiling.
Right.
So Kendra, this is Kevin. Go back to that plan that you have pulled up right now.
Okay.
The floor plan.
Yeah.
Right up. Okay. So as an example that I was talking to some of the foremen about this morning.
Yeah.
So bring that in a little bit closer.
Okay.
Okay. So if you were looking in the servery, there looks like some obvious cabinets on that. So what would be really cool is if you had that to the left right there, servery, you'd be able to attach the cabinet, the millwork drawings to that. Because they're not shown on the electrical of what those millwork drawings look like. So you have to go find them.
So true.
Yeah. If you had that availability, like TJ said, to add another plan on that, that'd be awesome.
Well, you can link to another plan. So if you have a plan, but you're saying on the task, because you could link, if you have your millwork shop drawings uploaded in here, I can link to them.
Oh, you can?
Yes.
Okay.
So that we can do. What I heard Tim saying, or I think it was Tim. You were saying, what you were saying is maybe be able to link a task so that you have multiple plans shown here and you can pull details and crop plans from multiple plans. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right. That we can't do. Unfortunately, it's just to the one plan that it's linked to. And then it's also, you can only pull a detail like a crop plan. If I add a crop plan, it's going to only present this drawing that I'm on currently. And so, however, what you could do is if you really want to get the information into here and, just be able to kind of put it all together and put a bow on it, you could take a, like with your mobile device, sorry, this is frozen here. Let me just reconnect it. I know what I'll do. I just got this really awesome new software that lets me connect really easily. Zero 686. Okay.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I did something similar to that by making an observation task.
Yeah.
And putting it in as a related task.
Yeah.
So that they can click on that link and it takes them right to the panel schedule, and it took them right to some millwork prints, and so that they could see all about one little room when they were out there in the field.
Exactly. And so you could, you could leverage related tasks, or you could do this where I navigate to where my detail is, and I take a screenshot of that. Now that's on my camera roll. And then I, maybe go back to the task. I think it was maybe this one. No. Oh, up here, this one. And I can add the photo that I just took. So I can take my camera roll and now I add that photo of that detail and I can mark it up. So that's one way you could get the other detail or other plan referenced. The other way that Joanna, is it Joanna?
Jamie, it's close enough.
Jamie. Okay. The other one that Jamie was pointing out is you could add a related task. So I have my task here and I can say, let's do now a related task. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I did have to create the task. I would go to the task and add a little hyperlink to it, or the page, and add a little hyperlink, and then I made it related to a certain room, so that when they clicked on that related task part, it would take them right to the panel schedule itself.
Okay, so kind of like that. So you have your parent task. So I'll turn off my screen sharing for just a second. So you have this task here and it's got, the photos I've added, but I've related it to the detail.
Yes.
And now this task can be linked to any plan.
Right.
Oh, and so the other way you could do that would be like this. You could also, so I've got my first task here, and I could navigate in my plans to, let's say there's a third elevation that is really important. I can go to that. And I could create that and call it like, F9 fixture height elevation. And then when I come to my current task, you can relate it to that existing task. And it's just a relationship. So when you look in this task, you see both of those here and you can reference them.
Yeah, I also had to, I sort of made the category just an observation. So it wasn't actually a task that someone had to do.
Right. Oh, that's nice.
So it was just an observation task and it wasn't actually on a assigned task list or assigned task list. It was just an observation. They could click on it and then it's not on a big list of to-do stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, you could also, it sounds like this might be a case where you could have the task and what you're noting, as well as a couple links here to the plans, because that would almost serve the same purpose. Like you can reference those two drawings here.
Kendra, going back to Tim's question of like using the lighting plan and then the reflected ceiling plan.
Yeah.
When you create your task and you put the set of drawings in there, can you have a layered drawing over it so you could actually have the reflected ceiling on the lighting plan and then remove it to see it like go back and forth?
Yes, you could. So you can view drawings from different versions or different disciplines. Any drawing set or plan that you have on the platform, you can overlay it. So
within the task.
Yeah, not within a task, not really. But what you could do is, let's say I'm here and I'm wanting to compare this drawing to the previous drawing that they just issued a new drawing, and I just want to see what the differences are. So my current drawing is going to be in blue. Any changes that are new are going to be in blue. Any changes that were old are going to be in red. So I can compare this and I can align the sheets if I need to. And then you can, and then at this point, and at that first stage, you could choose any two drawings. So once I have aligned them and I'm in compare mode, I can do all my markups while I'm here. I can say, oh my, they've added a wall here. That's going to need 2 new light switches for these 2 new rooms. And I can call that out and just say, new wall added per detail, or sorry, per bulletin 1. I can change the size of the font or just leave it as is. And then I can add a task, because now I'm going to need to add these 2 new switches. So this is generating a task. And I can say, bulletin 1 and put the room or something. I can put the location here too. And then, add anything I need to, maybe checklist. I can add checklists and put it in the right category. And now when I go to the current drawing, just, it still has all those markups. And as I was saying, you can compare any two drawings. So I could select, the electrical, and I can select what date to compare. This is not going to line up at all, but just for the sake of this exercise, I can compare these two drawings. And I'm able to export an image of that overlay. So I can export as image. And it downloads the comparison. If you want to then upload that comparison as a plan so that you have a reference, you could then upload that. Is that what you meant?
Kind of, I just wondered if you would be able to do that within the task.
Can't do it. Yeah, I can't do it within the task. But if I have the plan on the plan sets, like if I have this comparison, then I could add that to the task.
Correct.
But I can add that as feedback, compare within a task. That's pretty cool. Like share that is a pretty cool thing. A crop of a comparison. And that was Ralph. Did you
Correct.
suggest? Yeah.
Correct.
I do have a question.
Okay.
So under tasks, when you're looking at the Gantt view, it only displays the first 200 tasks of your whole project.
Right.
Is there a way to increase that so we can see our overall, the duration of the project to get our manpower graphed out?
So, okay, you want to look, it only shows the first 200.
Yeah, so if you've got over 400 tasks, it's only going to show the first 200. So what I had to do to figure out my manpower is start deleting the first 200 tasks or completing them out, and then I had to put them back in.
Oh my
order
God.
To see a full graph.
Interesting. And you were doing a date range that, interesting. So it tops out at 200, you're saying, like the
Yep.
map.
It only shows the first 200 tasks. It shows your manpower out, but you can't look at the tasks associated because it only displays the first 200.
Interesting. I think what you could do is you could put a modified, you could put like, you know what I would, I might put a time filter so that like do the end date within the last, instead of all time, do a date range for the end date. So show everything that should be ending, from the beginning of the project, maybe March to, now. And if that covers those first 200, you would get your view there, and then you could have a second screenshot. Would that do it? Or do you have that many? I mean, there's
that many tasks. So it's pretty much what I was trying to do is do a forecast for the office, showing, hey, this is how the job's going to progress according to schedule. So they have from the beginning, how many men we're gonna need up to building to the middle of the project, and then how we're gonna taper back off.
But
So
do
I
you,
would need to see the whole graph from start to finish.
but I imagine that there's never a point where there's over 200 tasks on one day.
I get that, but when you wanna look at the whole picture,
Yeah. No, you would have to do it in, it sounds like it tops out at 200. So you'd have to break it up in
well,
time.
that's why I was asking if there was a way to allow it to show more.
Right. I can log that as feedback, but at this time, it sounds like you've hit the top limit. Let me look at one other thing. Okay, have you looked at the analytics? Because this might be one way that you could get a view. If you're thinking of questions too, by the way, feel free to post them in the chat, even though we're still finishing up on this question. So I believe there might be something you could do with this in progress chart. I'm just wondering if it shows, for some reason, oh, I'm in the wrong project, sorry. I have one that does have actual data on it. So this looks like it goes to, it's kind of a current view, but I think it only goes while it's like what's happening. But yeah, if you want to look ahead, Bob, this wouldn't help very much. Because this is more kind of how things are currently or have been.
Yeah, so I think one of the things he's getting at is he's pre-planning tasks throughout the remainder of the job. So he's got hundreds and hundreds of tasks that he's already preloaded with manpower and pre-established dates. So like one of the questions that I was asked earlier for today was, is it possible to print like an entire Gantt view of the whole project that like, so we can export and print on, on large format, like a plotter.
Yeah.
And then literally tape a paper copy up on the wall somewhere. And then a sub part to that is just like the screen you're on right now, you can see some of those tasks. You can't read the entire title. And so it's like if
Here.
Correct. So like you can see set up traffic, detour and close, right, dot. So yeah, a couple down from where you're at. So what the question is like, okay, how do we see our entire project from a Gantt view that's basically it functions as a schedule.
Right.
In addition to that, you'll be able to see your manpower requirements.
Right.
And the ability, I think we've talked about this before, Kendra, to filter out non-working days. So typical is Saturday and Sunday. So if we could do all those things, that would be just awesome.
Right. Right. Totally. Got it.
So is the answer right now not possible for all of the above?
At this time, that's correct. Not right now, but I totally, I definitely communicate this to our team. And I actually have a task. We just hired a couple engineers, so I'll resurface this one again with my manager, but I've put a lot of pressure on this one because I feel like it's just, it kind of makes it not usable if you can't tell it what the working hours are. Because it takes a tool that we've given you, but it makes it not usable. And so those kind of improvements often take precedence over like new feature adds, because it's like, you know, it's already in your hands, but it's not functioning. So we should fix it so that you can get the full value of that tool.
Agree. I mean, you think of the we're just a lonely subcontractor, right? With those pesky GCs out there.
Yeah.
They must have thousands and thousands of tasks that are using it. And so they're going back and taking the same data and
Oh yeah.
Microsoft Project or, one of the other scheduling tools, and
Right.
they're duplicating efforts. So
I know. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I'll communicate that again. It's good timing that this came up again. Okay, but so any other questions on functionality that does exist?
So Kendra, I've got one.
Okay.
And this was a new one that popped up on. So, I have multiple projects and I'm looking at, there's like underneath the title, it'll say 226 pin drops, 23 looks like a little symbol for a person.
So if you go up to your project, Kendra,
Yeah.
and go to your home screen.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think I know where you're talking about. That. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The numbers. Yes.
Yeah. So what are those?
So these are open tasks, not completed or not verified tasks. These are number of people on the project, and these are the number of plans on the project. Another cool symbol that took me a while to learn what it was is this little crown. If you ever see that, that means that you are an admin on that project.
Okay, so when I go to my home screen and I click on, in this case, right there where you're at, 10 people.
Yep.
So click on that. Well, no, the one over there you go.
It's going to jump me into the project.
Okay, so you jumped it, jumped you into the project, but what does the 10 signify? I'm curious.
Oh yeah, that's down here in your people's tab. That's how many people have been invited on the project.
Oh, okay.
So if I go to the people tab, this is the people here.
I understand.
10 people.
Okay, so going back to that one in your home screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 19, click on that 19 number.
Well, it's actually not letting me click on the number itself. It's more of just like an informational.
Oh, okay. So it's not designed to take anywhere.
Correct. This, however, if you do click the gear wheel, that takes me somewhere.
Okay. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are just the tiles for the projects, and you can leverage the small star and make that yellow so that the projects you work on most frequently now can have that little yellow star and can become can be shown at the top of your screen.
Oh, that's a kind of a cool feature for some of us.
Yeah. Yeah, so you just, to add something, you just click on the little star and it will
Take
appear.
it to the top.
Yep. And it's more accessible that way. And yeah, for those who are new on the call, we did mention that there are tutorials and resources that are available that you can kind of self-serve. Those you'll find here under tutorials. You've got videos. Most of them on average are 3 minutes. And then you can always access our knowledge base, which is like the Bible of Fieldwire, and says it has articles written on everything that every feature can and can't do. And you can search that here. And you can email the support team if you need to that way too. And those are accessible on your mobile device as well. And do we want to, we've actually covered some of, like a good amount of the actual training. I don't know if we want to keep doing Q&A. Do people have Q&A, more Q&A?
Not hearing a whole lot of feedback, so guess we can move on into any other parts of the training that you had kind of predetermined, canned, if you will. And
Okay.
if there's more questions, just I guess we can have people post them in the chat feature here and get back to them.
Sounds good. So I'm just connecting my iPad. So are people able to follow along? You can follow along on your iPad or mobile device. And just, especially for the new ones, I would definitely recommend following along. Just because it's one thing to watch someone do it, looks so easy, but when you actually have to find it yourself, it's kind of another ballgame. So I'm launching the Fieldwire app on my iPad, and I just want to point out a couple things here on this home dashboard of your mobile device. So in the upper left, you've got your notifications. That's the notifications bell. I can see anything that's been assigned to me. I can clear them all if I already responded to some of them and already know what they're referring to. I also have this search magnifying glass right here in the upper right that lets me search for a project. So I'm going to look for the Jenco training project, and I found it right there. And if your project is not enabled, then it'll appear down here with a cloud and an arrow pointing down. And what that means is the project just hasn't been downloaded onto your mobile device. So if you find the Jenco project is not enabled, you can go ahead and enable it by clicking on it and selecting enable, and it'll begin to download. So down here at the bottom, while that's downloading, you can see your profile tab. And I do recommend that folks update this information. This is very handy for anyone on the project to see your contact information, your title, etc. That's going to show up on the people tab, and it lets the team know, how they can get in touch with you and all that. So I access that from the profile tab right here. And on this same window, you can see smart synchronization is turned on. So does anybody on the call already know what smart synchronization refers to?
No.
Okay, so smart synchronization is basically if your mobile device doesn't have unlimited data, or if you just want to be economical with your data usage, smart synchronization turned on means that Fieldwire will not do major downloads or data syncs with the project when you don't have a Wi-Fi signal. So it's going to wait. It's going to be smart about when it downloads a lot of project data, and it's going to wait until you have a Wi-Fi signal. So if you're having trouble, let's say you're out and you have a cell phone signal, but you don't have Wi-Fi and you want to download the project, just turn smart synchronization off and it'll proceed to download without any consideration for whether you have a Wi-Fi signal or not. The next thing, let me know if there's any questions on that.
While that's doing that, does it kill your battery while it's waiting to try to download?
No, it's not waiting. It's gonna basically wait till a Wi-Fi signal comes and then it will download that information. It's just paused, but there's no like battery issue. And then, I mean, yeah. And so also, did that answer your question?
Yes, I thought maybe it was like like something buffers, or you go into like
something
like that where it's kind of just trying to download, but it has no signal. So it's trying, but it's not really doing anything but burning up your battery. So I didn't know if it was something like that.
Nope. It won't.
Okay.
No. And then it looks like, Chris, you were asking about being able to see how much the project will take up on your phone. I believe it's like 1,000 pages. I can get you the exact number, but the plans is what I think eats up the most space on your device. And I'll send you an article with this after that talks about that.
Yeah, so like in my case, right, so some of the foremen on here might have 1 or 2 projects. A couple people might have more than that, but and then like for me, I see every project, and so like I really can't sync every project to my device because it'll take I'd have to get like a terabyte phone. And
I mean, are you at your device's like capacity? Have you checked?
Yes, that's kind of what I was getting at, is like, it's like if I wanted to pick, oh, I want to sync, or enable these half dozen jobs, would I be able to tell before I synchronize them how much data that's going to consume on my hard drive or my disk, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay. So if you have 1,000 plans in a project, that should be equivalent to about 6 gigabytes of mobile storage overall, because one sheet is equal to about 2 to 10 megabytes. So megabytes for one sheet, 2 to 10. And that's for 1,000 sheets. That would put you up to about 6,000, 6,000 megabytes or 6 gigabytes. And so figure 6 gigabytes for 1,000 sheets. And then, so we recommend about 30 gigabytes. You could figure, or 64 gigabytes for your phone. And I think what that's assuming is about 5 projects downloaded on your phone at a given time, 5 to 8 projects.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So the last thing on this profile settings that I just want to point out is the email notifications that you can set here to never, instantly, or daily. And I have mine to never because I'm in the app all the time. So I check my notifications and I don't really want to have emails of the same thing I'm checking on the app. But if you don't go in the app as frequently, then instantly probably is the best. So that's the profile settings. And then lastly, here's the tutorials that I mentioned on web. You can access those in mobile too. So if you have something you're trying to do and you have a quick question on it, you can always look at these intro or video tutorials, and also you can contact support too. So jumping into the project, and I just want to show, so that was the high level intro to Fieldwire. And Fieldwire works on Wi-Fi or off of Wi-Fi, whether there's a cellular signal or not, with data or not. If it's not on Wi-Fi or any signal, it will just sync when you get back to a signal. So the next item is just viewing plans on mobile. So we can, I'm just going to jump back to. So the first thing I like to point out is you can collapse all of your plans with this little symbol here in the upper left. So plans are organized into folders that usually match disciplines. In your case, it's electrical, but if you have electrical drawings, fire alarm drawings, in different folders, then you can collapse those folders here and view them there. And then the other thing I like to just point out is searching for plans. You can tag plans with a certain tag. If you find that you're always pulling up, like we were talking about, Jamie, about the different drawings that you reference, like if you have the elevation, the detail, and the, you even want to reference the mechanical drawing in that area, you could tag those drawings with like lobby lighting if it's all kind of interfacing, and then you can pull up that tag. So like, for instance, we've got a couple drawings that are tagged building 2. So when I pull up that tag, I'm only looking at drawings that have that tag, and I can then just scroll through those. So swiping my finger right to left, I'm able to scroll through the drawings and view, whatever I need to see just on those drawings that are tagged like that, which can be helpful if you're just referencing, something over and over again. You can also just search for drawing names. So I could do roof site plan, and here, oops, roof site plan. So I found it, there it is. And then any other drawing titles, you can search for them like that. When you're in a drawing, you can swipe from right to left to scroll through your drawing set in order. You can also swipe your finger from down to up, which lets you view older versions of the plans. And this I know is an older version because it says outdated version. And that watermark follows me everywhere. But I'm still able to, view the drawing and reference what I need to see. And you can also do compare on mobile too. So I just click down here in the lower left, and you click compare, and I'm able to compare these two drawings just like we did on web. So now I just have to click compare again, because that was allowing me to align the drawings, and I'm able to view the differences while in the field. And I can see that blue is the current drawing, red is the older drawing. So once I finish doing the compare view, I can also reference hyperlinks like we looked at. So I can click here, that takes me to that drawing. I can look at that elevation. And then when I click done, I'm right where I was at that hyperlink. So that's sort of like general navigation of the plans. Any questions on that so far? Okay. So the next thing is just doing markups on your phone. The only set of markups that we didn't really touch on are the measuring markups. So those Fieldwire automatically gets the scale from the drawing based on this written out scale here. If it's not scaled, then you can calibrate your drawing using the like compass looking instrument and use that on a known measurement. Not that one. I'm gonna do something I know. So like this 5-foot call out. So I can calibrate and select. And this is already calibrated pretty good, but I could say that that's 5 feet. Or redo it if I want to. Once I've calibrated the drawing, I can then take measurements. And then I can do area takeoffs. Are people trying that out or able to find those?
Yes, I used them before. I also noticed if you can't get it exactly right,
Yeah,
you can go down to the little crosshair thing and adjust them right underneath the red dot. Hit that
right.
crosshair and you can adjust it that way also.
Yep. Yeah, you can move whatever you need to move. So then, and then obviously, if you want to add a task, you can add a task to the plans. I want to show you a couple cool ways to make your task input even faster if you have an issue you identify. So if I see an issue, first thing I do is put a little bubble where I see it. The next thing I can do is I can use voice to text to identify the issue. Broken light bulb. So I've added that. I can hit enter. I can post that. That will now title the task with what I just texted. I can also then use these symbols here, the @ symbol and the hashtag, to add the status. So we could say it's priority 2, or in your case, I think you use observation or different statuses. And then I can do, I can put it in the right category. So I could put it in, you know, or if we would use your categories, but in this case, I'll use what's on this sample project. So I can put it in the category. I can then also assign it to a person. And I can hashtag it with something too, if it's. So right doing that, what I've done is I've titled the task in 2 messages. I've titled the task, I've added the status, the category, and the assignee, as well as the hashtag for it, if I wanted that. So I've got this status, the category already selected, and the hashtag. So in 2 messages, I'm able to create a task that's got a bunch of information, and I could then just add a photo and mark it up if I need to, which I think with 2 messages like that, using voice to text, definitely, I could see that being faster than writing it down. So just using those two messages. So if everybody wants to try adding a task similar to that, if you're following along, feel free to do that now. And let me know if any questions come up.
Yeah, that's a great way to tag things like GC, constraint, or trade damage, things like that.
Exactly.
Quickly, easily.
So it's just in the messages. Is anybody following along on Android? Okay.
No, but I do have an Android phone and I noticed the features are slightly different than on iPhone.
It's true. It is slightly different.
So Kendra, I'm in the same text box that you're in.
Okay.
How did you get the voice to text? Where was that?
Down here by my space bar is a little microphone symbol.
Oh, okay, perfect.
And you just click on that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And anybody have an idea of what this box does?
Add your checklist.
Correct. It adds an item to the checklist. So if I wanted to, you know, make sure this person follows a certain set of actions, I could add one item that says confirm light bulb spec with architect and with lighting consultant. So I could just fix that, post that. Now that's there. I can add another one. Confirm light bulb color with designer. And you can add the little steps so that the person can check those boxes off or mark them non-applicable. So are people adding tasks in the training project?
Does not look.
I am.
Okay. Are you on this sheet with me or?
Let's see. I am on sheet A201-1.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's where I was. Let's see. Did you assign it to me?
No, I just pinned it.
Cool. Which one is it? Is it the
Number 41.
number 41? Okay. Got it. So I'm just refreshing by pulling my finger down on the screen. There we go. Does anybody know what this box is? Perfect. And I see you've added a photo of yourself. Nice work.
Exactly, right there.
Yeah, that's in your profile settings. You can add a photo of yourself. That's great. And so this doesn't have a category. It's in the default priority and it doesn't have a tag. And so in that second message, if you want to add those things, you would just use the @ symbol and the hashtag symbol. Like this. With my second message I did. Great. Thanks, Chris. $1 million light bulb. Oh my gosh. Okay.
When they did that.
Yeah. Awesome. So
I made a task for you. It's really just a question.
okay. I'll refresh. Is it, I wonder if it's loading. Is it on this sheet here? I could probably find it by just going to my tasks. There we go. Ah, good question. I have a, I mean, you could do, you're talking about like on a plan. Do you mean, was that Aaron or, oh, Jamie? So do you mean that you like, because you can do linear takeoff. So if I have a circle, I could potentially.
Yeah, right below that dot is a radius of something or other.
Oh, okay. Ah, so. And you're saying like, you want the radius like that?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you can measure the whole circumference of the thing
The circumference.
instead
No.
of just a straight line
No,
measurement.
no. And so you can't, but I will add a feature request to be able to measure circumference. I've heard that before.
So oddly enough, sometimes we have to bend pipe around that radius.
Ah,
Just be, add that test. You could actually measure it out.
I love that. Yeah, it's great call out. Totally. Okay. Did we have anybody else put a question in? Aaron, I see you did one. Nice. So yeah, basically I want to just show people one last thing. When you're looking in Fieldwire, you have your tools on the left upper part, and then down here is for filtering tasks. And so when you're in plans, if you only have my tasks selected, you will only see tasks assigned to you. If you have watched tasks selected, you will see where tasks are on the plans that have you as a watcher. And people become watchers. If I take this task, which is assigned to me, and then, or it was assigned, I forget who, I think it was assigned to my alias, and I reassign it to Aaron, then you're going to see that both me, we've got 4 watchers on this task now. Chris, who interacted with it, myself, my alias, and Aaron. Those are people who are, consider them like CCs on an email. They're going to see any activity with the task, and they're going to see how it changes over time. So watchers, that's what watchers are, and that's what watched tasks refers to. If you want to see all tasks on the project, you just select all tasks, and when you come here, you'll be able to scroll through the plans and see any plans that have any tasks on them. And then you can also filter by your categories that you set up. And then if you are on the tasks tab, same thing. Those filtering tabs work as well. So if I'm on tasks tab here at the top, and I have all tasks selected, I'm going to see everything on the project, and I can do a number of sorting options. So I could do by status and see. I can also do by start date or end date and really plan out my work that way while I'm in the field. All right. So we covered plan viewing, issue tracking, filtering tasks, responding to tasks, task creation. So yeah, and now we've looked at filtering tasks. On web, it sounds like people are using the scheduling aspects of the software, which is awesome. And so to do that, once you get, tasks identified and your Bob has populated your project with all these great tasks that make the project go smoothly, they'll show up here on your Kanban view. And I have some filters on, so I'm going to clear that. And you'll be able to see all the tasks in one place. And then you can also view them in the calendar view and the Gantt view. And anything here that's on the right hasn't been scheduled yet. So you can drag some of those items onto the schedule if you want to plan it out. And then you're able to, once you've scheduled the work, you're able to share that with your teammates by generating reports. And so here's a sample report. I've got my logo. I've also got the name of the project, the address, the name of this report, and also, a message, as well as a table of contents and all of the information from the tasks with date and time stamping. And it'll include checklists if you want, attached documents, etc. So that's reporting work. And last thing I'll just tell you about is you can tag photos. So if you add a bunch of photos into the Photos tab, you're able to tag them and search through them. So if I have this photo and it shows, I want to tag this with fountain or, fountain electrical. Now I'm able to filter all the photos, and looking for that, I can find it. And tagging is really helpful for photos because we don't have folders. So tagging allows you to see all the photos and then just filter them accordingly. All right. Oh, and the last thing is forms. If we have any, I think you said there was one that people use.
Currently, they're doing their daily reports in there, and then the office, we're issuing RFIs out of there.
Got it. Okay, so, oh, that's cool. You're doing RFIs. So, yeah, from the office, you create a new RFI. These are fully customizable. Just title it, and then can add all the elements. From your phone, I think we're running low on time, so we can cover that another time to show the daily reports, but feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And yeah, definitely don't be a stranger, check out the knowledge base and the tutorials, and let me know if there's any questions.
Any other questions before we drop? We're right at time here.
Yeah, and when you attach a form to your plans,
yeah,
like where the hyperlink and all that is at, all those forms that you attach to the plan are fillable, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I did want to just point out that you can duplicate forms. I'm somebody told me they didn't want people to know that they could duplicate them. A client said, we don't want them to know that because we want them to fill it out. But I think you're fine with duplicating, right?
Yes, anything
okay.
to be more efficient.
Great. Okay. Anything. So definitely check out duplicating forms. Duplicating forms makes things go a lot faster. And I'll just pull that up on my iPad. It's loading. Okay. Four, 7, 8, 7. So when I'm in a form, if you're on Android, this plus button, I believe is at the bottom of your screen, on the bottom right. For my screen, it's on the top right on iPad. So you would just say, oh, new daily report if you're creating it from scratch. Or if I want to duplicate this form, oh, it's somebody else's form, but I can create my own form and call it test. And then I can fill it out, all the different elements, go through, and then I can duplicate that form. And now I have 2 versions that I can add, I can just update. So it'll keep most of the information filled out, but you can just duplicate it by clicking on the 3 dots in the upper right. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for hosting us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kendra.
Okay.
Thank you, Kendra.
Yeah, thank you, Kendra.
Thanks. All right. Have a great one.
Talk to you soon. Bye.